Captain Taeho Kim stood at the large window of the Earthship Pathfinder. Stars filled the blackness of space. He was 52 years old, with gray hair and eyes that had seen many things in his 30 years as a space captain. But today would be different from all other days. Today, humans would meet aliens for the first time. "Captain, they're ready for us," said Suji Park. She was his second in command, a tall woman with short black hair and a serious face. "The alien ship has sent the meeting signal." Taeho nodded. "It's time then, let's make humanity proud." The meeting room was set up on a neutral space station built quickly after both sides agreed to talk. 5 humans sat on one side of a long metal table. 5 aliens sat on the other side. The aliens had blue skin that seemed to shine under the lights. Each had 6 eyes arranged in a circle on their faces. They were taller than humans and had 4 arms instead of 2. "Welcome," said Taeho. "We are honored to meet you and to begin friendship between our peoples." The lead alien, who had said its name was Kraz, did not seem moved by these words. "We are the Galactic Concordat. We rule over 500 star systems and 3,000 worlds. We have come to tell you the rules you must follow." Suji frowned, but Taeho kept his face calm. This was not starting well. Kraz touched a device, and a star map appeared in the air above the table. "Your species will be restricted to your solar system for the next 300 cycles. You may not build ships that go beyond the edge of your system. You may not contact other species. You may not develop certain weapons or technologies. This is for the protection of the galactic community." The room went quiet. No one had expected this. The humans had prepared gifts, friendship speeches, and trade offers. Not this. "On what grounds?" Suji asked, her voice tight with anger. The alien tilted its head in what looked like amusement. "We have studied your broadcasts. We have watched your planet without you knowing. Your biological and psychological profile shows extreme adaptability, resource efficiency, and aggressive problem-solving. Your history is filled with violence and war. You are what we call a Class 9 threat species." "That's not fair," said Dr. John Lee, the team's scientist. "Yes, we have had wars, but we have also created art, music, medicine. We have worked to become better." "All species say this," Kraz replied. "But the data is clear. Humans are dangerous. You solve problems in ways that others do not. You keep trying when you should stop. You work together when you should compete. These things make you unpredictable." Taeho leaned forward. "And if we refuse these terms?" "Then we implement Rule 1, Kraz replied. "Do not engage with Class 9 species. We will leave and set up a barrier around your system. No ships will be allowed in or out. No communications will be received. You will be alone, as if we never met." Dr. Lee shook his head. "You came all this way just to tell us to stay in our corner of space?" "We came to warn you," said another alien. "The last Class 9 species that tried to join the galactic community caused a war that destroyed 12 worlds. We are being kind." The meeting ended soon after. The humans returned to their ship, quiet and angry. "They're afraid of us," Suji said as they sat in Taeho's office. "All that advanced technology, all those worlds under their control, and they're scared of humans." "Yes," Taeho said quietly. "And afraid beings make dangerous decisions." Over the next few weeks, Earth's leaders talked and argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to accept the rules, some didn't believe the aliens were real at all. While they talked, Taeho ordered the Pathfinder to patrol the edge of the solar system. What he saw worried him. More alien ships arrived each day. They were setting up the barrier already, before Earth had even given its answer. "They never expected us to agree," Suji said as they watched the alien ships on the screens. "This was always their plan." "Then we need a better plan," Taeho replied. He called a meeting of his crew, 100 men and women who had trained for peaceful first contact, not this strange kind of war. "The Concordat thinks they know humans," Taeho said. "They've studied us and decided we're dangerous. But I don't think they really understand us at all." "What do you mean, Captain?" asked Engineer Min Choi. They see our history of fighting and think that's all we are. But they miss something important. Humans don't just fight to destroy. We fight to protect. We fight for those who can't fight, for themselves. We fight for ideas like freedom and justice. Tejo looked around at his crew. And most importantly, we fight hardest when someone tells us we can't do something. A small smile spread across Suji's face. So what are we going to do? First, we're going to learn everything we can about these aliens. Their technology, their culture, their weaknesses. Then we're going to show them exactly why humans are Class 9. In the days that followed, the Pathfinder carefully observed the alien ships. They made no hostile moves, just watched and recorded. Engineer Min discovered that the alien communication signals could be decoded with the right equipment. Dr. Lee found patterns in how the ships moved and where they positioned themselves. Then came the day when the Concordat made their first big mistake. The small research vessel Horizon was returning from a mission to study Saturn's rings. It carried 20 scientists and a collection of ice samples. The ship was not military. It was not armed. But it was approaching the new barrier the aliens had set up. "Attention, human vessel," came the alien message. "Turn back immediately. You may not cross the boundary." The captain of the Horizon, a woman named Hai Kim, responded, "This is a scientific vessel returning to Earth. We have no hostile intent. We are simply going home. Turn back or be destroyed," was the only reply. The Pathfinder was 2 hours away at maximum speed. Tejo ordered all engines to full power when he heard the exchange. "We won't make it in time," Suji said, her eyes fixed on the tracking screen. "Keep trying," Tejo ordered, "and open a channel to the Concordat command ship." The alien commander appeared on screen. "Human ships are forbidden to cross. You are threatening to destroy an unarmed research vessel," Tejo cut in. 20 innocent lives. Scientists, not soldiers. If you do this, you will prove that you are not protectors of peace. You are bullies who attack those weaker than you. The alien was silent for a moment. "Rule 1 exists for good reasons, human. If your first act upon meeting us is to kill innocent people, then you are the dangerous ones, not us," Tejo said. "Is that the message you want to send to the galaxy? That the mighty Concordat fears human scientists so much they must kill them?" On the screen, the Horizon was approaching the boundary line. "Make your choice," Tejo said. "But know this. Humans remember those who harm us, and we protect our own." The Concordat ships powered up their weapons. The Horizon continued forward, either not seeing the danger or choosing to face it. Tejo watched, heart pounding. This moment would set the course for humanity's future among the stars, and the Concordat were about to learn why Rule 1 existed in the first place. The small research ship Horizon crossed the boundary line set by the aliens. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then the weapons on the Concordat ships powered down. "Human vessel may proceed," came the message from the alien commander. This time only. On the bridge of the Pathfinder, Captain Tejo let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Beside him, Suji's shoulders relaxed slightly. "They blinked," she said quietly. "This time," Tejo replied. "But they won't back? Down twice. We need to report this to Earth Command immediately." Within days, the situation changed. More alien ships arrived. The Concordat set up a full blockade around the solar system. No more warnings, no more talks. Any ship that approached the boundary was turned back by force. Minho Lee was not a soldier or a captain of a big ship. He was just a cargo pilot who flew the independent freighter Wandering Star between Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies. He was 40 years old, with a round face and kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He had a wife and 3 children waiting for him on Mars colony. Minho was bringing medical supplies from Earth to Neptune Station when he saw the alien patrol ship. It was bigger than his small freighter, with sleek lines and weapons that glowed. With strange blue light. "Human vessel," came the transmission. "Your species is under restriction. Return to your origin point immediately." Minho frowned. He had heard about the aliens and their rules, but he didn't think they would stop medical ships. "This is the Wandering Star," he replied. "I'm carrying medicine for sick people on Neptune Station. Children will die without these supplies. Return to your origin point or face neutralization, was the only response. Minho looked at the picture of his family taped to his control panel. His oldest daughter, Hana, smiled back at him. She was 16 and wanted to be a pilot just like her father. Minho had never thought of himself as brave. He was just a pilot, just a father. But now he had to make a choice. Computer, mark course directly to Neptune Station. Maximum burn. The ship jumped forward, engines pushing to full power. The alien vessel fired a warning shot across his path. Minho didn't change course. When they fired to disable his engines, Minho did something no one had ever tried in a cargo vessel, a move his daughter Hana had dreamed up during simulator games. They called it the Hana twist. It was a dangerous spinning turn that used the ship's own waste heat as a shield. The alien ship, with technology hundreds of years more advanced, never expected such a move. They also didn't expect the cloud of small metal pieces that Minho released from his cargo bay, simple bits of scrap that confused their targeting systems just long enough for him to slip past. "Sorry about the mess," Minho said to empty space as his ship raced toward Neptune. His heart was beating fast and his hands were shaking, but he was through. The wandering star reached Neptune Station 6 hours later. When Minho stepped off his ship, people were waiting for him. They had heard what happened. "You could have been killed," said Dr. Jin Kang, the station's medical chief. "But you saved many lives today." Minho shook his head. "I just did my job. Anyone would have done the same. But not everyone would have, and the aliens were about to learn that." The story of Minho's run through the blockade spread quickly. People called him a hero. He didn't feel like one. He just wanted to get home to his family on Mars. But the Concordat had closed all travel between planets now. Minho was stuck on Neptune Station. He sent messages to his family, telling them he was safe, that he would find a way home soon. Meanwhile, on Earth, the leaders of all nations met to discuss the alien blockade. "We cannot attack them directly," said Admiral Haiwan Cho of the Earth Space Force. "Their technology is too advanced, we would lose too many lives." "Then we surrender?" asked the president of the North American Union. "Accept being prisoners in our own solar system?" "No," said a new voice. Everyone turned to look at Director Jisoo Yoon of the Earth Alliance Defense Force. She was not tall, but she stood straight, with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "We do what humans have always done when faced with a stronger enemy. We adapt." Jisoo walked to the center of the room. "The Concordat believes they can contain us with ships and weapons. They think in terms of force, but they don't understand humans. When you put pressure on us, we don't break. We become more resourceful." She touched a control and a map of the solar system appeared. "The blockade is not perfect. There are gaps. Small, fast ships could slip through. Not many, but enough." "Enough? For what?" asked the European Federation president. "Enough to ensure humanity's future," Jisoo said. "I propose Operation Scattered Seeds." The plan was bold. Before the blockade became tighter, hundreds of small ships would leave the solar system in all directions. Each would carry some of Earth's best scientists, engineers, doctors, teachers, and soldiers. Each would have databases of human knowledge, art, history, and technology. Each would look for new homes and allies among the stars. "We're not going to fight their blockade head-on," Jisoo explained. "We're going to make it meaningless. Humans will spread too far to be contained." Some leaders argued against the plan. It was too risky. Too many would die. But in the end, they agreed. Humanity would not be caged. On Neptune Station, Minho received a message asking him to meet with a special officer. When he arrived at the meeting room, he found a man in a simple gray uniform. "Mr. Lee," said the officer, "my name is Captain Jun Bei. I understand you found a way through the blockade." Minho nodded. "Once. I don't think it would work again." "Perhaps not the same way," Jun agreed. "But we need pilots who can think creatively, who are willing to take risks for what matters." He showed Minho a small ship docked at the station. It was sleek and black, designed to be hard to see against the darkness of space. "This is the Seed Runner," Jun said. One of 200 like it. We need pilots. To take them beyond the solar system. To go where, Minho asked. Anywhere humans can survive. To find new homes, new allies. June looked at Minho closely. It's a one-way trip, at least for now, but your family can go with you. Minho stared at the ship. It was small, but well built. Room enough for his family. A chance to be together, a chance to be free. When do we leave? He asked. As soon as your family arrives from Mars, June replied. We have a ship bringing them here now. 3 days later, Minho sat in the pilot's seat of the Seed Runner. Behind him, his wife, Songyi, checked the supply levels. In the small cabin area, their 3 children, Hana, June, and little Micha, secured their belongings. Course set, Minho said. We're heading for the Tausedi system. 6 months of travel if all goes well. Ready when you are, Songyi said, touching his shoulder. Minho took a deep breath and launched the ship. As they approached the blockade, 20 other Seed Runner ships joined them, each taking a slightly different path. The Concordate ships moved to intercept, but they couldn't catch them all. Minho's ship slipped through a gap and accelerated hard. Behind him, some of the other ships made it too. Some didn't. Did we make it? Hana asked, coming to stand beside her father's chair. Minho looked at the sensors. No one was following them. They were beyond the solar system, heading into the vast unknown. Yes, he told his daughter. We made it. Now the real journey begins. Back on Earth, Ji Soo-yoon watched as the first wave of Seed Runner ships departed. Some were caught. Most escaped. And so it begins, she said quietly. Humanity's greatest journey. The Concordate had tried to contain humans, but they were about to learn why Rule 1 existed. Don't mess with humans. They'll find a way to win, no matter the odds. 5 years passed since the first Seed Runner ships left the solar system. The Concordate kept their blockade tight around Earth and the other planets. They thought they had contained the human problem. They were wrong. Junho Kang had once been a history teacher on Earth. Now he stood before the leaders of the Trelzi, a species of tall, four-armed beings with skin that changed colors with their moods. The Trelzi ruled 12 planets in a system 40 light-years from Earth. Humans don't think like the Concordate, Junho explained. They see us as a threat because we are different. But where they see danger, we see opportunity. Where they want everyone to be the same, we celebrate being different. The Trelzi leader, whose skin was now a thoughtful purple, leaned forward. The Concordate has ruled our trade and travel for 300 years. They limit what technology we can have. They tell us which species we can talk to. Why should we risk their anger by helping humans? Junho smiled. Because we can help each other. Humans are good at finding new ways to solve old problems. He touched a small device and a hologram appeared. It showed a disease that had been killing Trelzi children for generations. Then it showed the human cure that Dr. Sun Yang had created. This is just one example, Junho said. We don't want to fight the Concordate. We want to build a better galaxy for everyone. The Trelzi leader's skin turned bright yellow, a sign of hope in their culture. Tell us more, human. This meeting was happening in many places across the galaxy. The 200 Seed Runner ships had reached distant stars. Humans, with their ability to adapt and learn, found ways to live on worlds very different from Earth. Some settled on moons with low gravity. Others lived in deep underwater cities. Some even made homes on gas-giant planets, floating in the clouds. And everywhere they went, humans did what they had always done throughout history. They built, they learned, they shared, and they made friends. On the water world of Aquaria, human Dr. Ji-won Park saved the life of a Neptulian prince. The grateful Neptulians gave humans a whole continent to settle on. On the mining colony of Nexus Prime, human farmer Dae Kim taught the locals how to grow food in poor soil. His methods ended a 10-year famine. On the frontier planet Iridia, far from any major power, Security Chief Yejin Choi led a team of humans and 4 alien species. They were a strange group. Humans with their 2 arms and legs, bird-like avians with their wings, reptilian saurans with their scales, and others. But together they did something no one had done before. They captured a Concordat monitoring station without firing a shot. Ye-Jin stood in the control room of the station, looking at the advanced systems. She was 45 years old, with short gray hair and a scar across her right cheek from an old battle on Earth. Her team waited for her orders. "We're not going to destroy it," she told them. "We're going to use it." "Use it for what?" asked Krill, her avian second-in-command. "To talk to each other," Ye-Jin said. "This station can send messages across half the galaxy. The Concordat used it to watch everyone. We'll use it to connect everyone." Within months, the stolen station became the first link in a new communication network. Humans and their alien friends could now talk to each other across vast distances. Ideas, art, music, and knowledge began to flow freely. Back in the solar system, Director Jisoo Yoon, now 70 years old, received the first secret message from beyond the blockade. It came through a small device that looked like an ordinary rock. Inside was a quantum communicator that could send messages instantly, no matter the distance. "The seeds have taken root," said the message. "We are not alone out here. Many species resent Concordat control. They have welcomed us. Together, we grow stronger." Jisoo smiled. Phase 1 of her plan had worked better than she had hoped. Now, it was time for Phase 2. She called a secret meeting with the top scientists on Earth. "We need to make our own ships invisible to Concordat sensors," she told them. "They think they've trapped us here. I want them to keep thinking that while we slip away right under their noses." Dr. Minho Bai, the lead scientist, nodded. "We've been studying their technology. We think we can do it, but it will take time." "We have time," Jisoo said. "The Concordat is patient, so are we." Meanwhile, on a frozen moon called Icarus, Minho Lee and his family had built a new life. Their small Seed Runner ship had landed there 5 years ago. At first, they lived in the ship, but over time they dug homes under the ice, where it was warmer. Other humans joined them. Then came aliens who were curious about these strange new beings. The settlement grew into a town, and then a city. Minho's daughter Hana, now 21, had become a pilot like her father, but she flew ships that were partly human technology and partly alien. They were faster and stronger than anything Earth had ever built. "We're learning so much out here," Hana told her father as they sat in their warm home beneath the ice. "The Concordat tries to keep species apart, afraid of each other. But when we work together, we all become better." Minho nodded. "That's why they fear humans the most. We don't just adapt ourselves to new places. We help others adapt too. We connect people. In the 5 years since humans had spread among the stars, many things had changed. Alien music now had human rhythms. Human stories had alien characters. New foods, new art, new ideas were being born from the mix of cultures. And something else was happening that the Concordat didn't expect. Their own people were beginning to ask questions. On the Concordat homeworld, a young scientist named Vril listened to human music for the first time. It had been smuggled in by a traitor. The strange sounds and words made Vril feel things that Concordat music never had. "Why are we taught to fear these beings?" Vril asked an older colleague. "Their art speaks of peace and unity, not war." "Do not ask such questions," the older scientist warned. "Rule 1 exists for good reasons." But more and more Concordat citizens were asking those same questions. Human ideas were like a virus that could not be stopped. They spread from mind to mind, changing how people thought. Back on Earth, Jisoo Yoon stood on a balcony overlooking the ocean. She was old now and tired, but her eyes still burned with determination. "The Concordat thought they could keep us in a cage," she said to her assistant. "They didn't understand that humans have always found ways out of cages. They didn't understand that by trying to keep us apart from the galaxy, they only made us more determined to join it." Her assistant handed her a report. More Concordat ships were arriving to strengthen the blockade. They were worried now. They had begun to realize that something was happening beyond their control. "Let them come," Jisoo said. "Every ship they send here is one less ship somewhere else. And out there, beyond their reach, humanity is growing stronger every day." "You?" Seeds of humanity had been scattered across the stars, and now they were beginning to bloom. 10 years had passed since first contact. The Concordat still kept their ships around Earth's solar system. They thought they had won. They were wrong. Aboard the Concordat command ship Justice, Admiral Zex looked at the reports with all 6 of his eyes. Something strange was happening in the outer parts of Concordat space. Supply ships were going missing. Communication stations were having problems. And strangest of all, some of their own people were asking questions that had never been asked before. Could it be the humans? Asked his second-in-command. Impossible, Zex replied. They are contained in their solar system. Our blockade is perfect. But deep down, Zex was worried. Humans were known to be tricky, and lately he had been having dreams about them spreading like a virus through the galaxy. Far away on the planet Iridia, Yejin Choi stood in the meeting hall. Around her were beings from 20 different species. Some had wings, some had scales, some had tentacles. All of them had one thing in common. They were tired of Concordat rule. For too long, the Concordat has told us what we can do, where we can go, who we can talk to, Yejin said. They say it's for our protection. But is it? Or is it to keep their power over us? A tall reptilian being named Sith nodded. They limit our technology. They say certain discoveries are dangerous, but they keep these technologies for themselves. The Concordat made a critical mistake, Yejin continued. They judged humans by our wars and conflicts. They didn't understand that those same conflicts taught us to value peace. They saw our ability to adapt as a threat, not as a gift that could help everyone. The meeting hall was in fact a secret base. Hidden beneath the ground were ships, weapons, and communication devices, a mix of human and alien technology. This was just one of hundreds of such bases spread across the galaxy. The resistance was growing. Back in Earth's solar system, something important was happening. After years of work, Earth scientists had created ships that could not be seen by Concordat sensors. These ghost ships could slip through the blockade without being detected. Suji Park, now Admiral of Earth's fleet, stood before the World Council. Her hair was gray, but she stood tall and strong. The ghost ships are ready, she said. We can now move people and supplies through the blockade freely. What about the Concordat ships, Kaur asked a council member. Won't they notice people disappearing from Earth? Suji smiled. We've thought of that. For every person who leaves, we create records of their death. As far as the Concordat can tell, humans are just living their lives, being born and dying as normal. The council approved the plan. Soon, ghost ships were moving through the blockade every day. Earth was no longer a prison. It was the secret heart of a growing movement. On a planet called Terra Nova, 50 light-years from Earth, Dr. Jinwoo Park worked in his lab. He was trying to solve a problem that had bothered him for years. The Concordat's technology is still more advanced than ours, he told his team. Their ships are faster. Their weapons are stronger. Their communications are better. We need to catch up. Jinwoo was a specialist in what humans called reverse engineering, taking something apart to see how it works, then building your own version. His team had pieces of Concordat technology that resistance fighters had collected. The key is, here, he said, pointing to a small device. They use quantum fields to power their ships. If we can understand this, we can build ships as good as theirs. Jinwoo and his team worked day and night. They failed many times, but humans were good at learning from failure. Each time something didn't work, they tried something new. After months of work, Jinwoo called Yejin to his lab. He showed her a small engine that glowed with blue light. We did it, he said proudly. This engine is as powerful as the ones in Concordat ships, and we can build them ourselves now. Yejin smiled. How soon can we put them in our ships? 3 months, Jinwoo said, maybe less. The Resistance now had ships that could match Concordat vessels, but they still didn't have enough people to fight directly. They needed more allies. On the Concordat homeworld, a secret meeting was taking place. Vril, the scientist who had first questioned the rules about humans, now led a group of like-minded Concordat citizens. We've been taught that Rule 1, don't mess with dangerous species, Keeps us safe, Vril told the group. But look at the evidence. Humans have been among the stars for 10 years now. Have they attacked anyone? Have they started wars? No. They've helped cure diseases. They've shared food-growing methods. They've created art and music. The High Council would say they're just being clever, said another member. That they're hiding their true nature. For 10 years, Vril asked. That's a long time to pretend. Maybe what we're seeing is their true nature. Maybe they're not the monsters. We were told they are. More and more Concordat citizens were beginning to have these thoughts. The High Council was worried. They increased their control, limited travel, and watched their own people more closely. But ideas could not be stopped so easily. On Icarus, the frozen moon where Minho Lee and his family had settled, a city now stood. It was a strange and wonderful place. Buildings of human design stood next to alien structures. The streets were full of beings from a dozen different worlds. Children of various species played together in parks. Minho was older now, his hair gray, but his eyes still bright. He watched his granddaughter Jisoo, named after the woman who had created Operation Scattered Seeds, playing with a young avian. The human girl and the bird-like alien were building a snow fort together. This is what the Concordat fears most, Minho said to his daughter Hana, who stood beside him. Not our weapons or our ships, but this, different species living together, learning from each other, becoming something new together. Hana nodded. They want to keep everyone separate and controlled, but the galaxy is changing, and humans helped start that change. Across the stars, the resistance continued to grow. Humans and their allies built hidden bases. They created new technologies. They shared knowledge that the Concordat had tried to control, and they waited for the right moment to act. That moment came when Admiral Zex, frustrated by the growing problems in Concordat space, made a critical error. He ordered half of the ships blockading Earth to leave and help deal with the disturbances in the outer systems. Suji Park saw the Concordat ships leaving. She called an emergency meeting with the World Council. This is the opportunity we've been waiting for, she said. The blockade is weaker than it's ever been. Now's the time to show the Concordat that humans will not be contained. The Council agreed. Messages were sent through the quantum communicator to all resistance bases across the galaxy. The plan they had worked on for 10 years was finally going to begin. As Suji left the meeting, she thought about Captain Tae-ho Kim, who had faced the aliens in that first meeting long ago. He had died 5 years ago, never seeing Earth free from the blockade. But his words still guided them. Humans don't just fight to destroy. We fight to protect. We fight for those who can't fight for themselves. We fight for ideas like freedom and justice. Now those ideas were about to change the galaxy forever. The day of action began with a simple message sent across the galaxy. Remember Earth. It was the signal that resistance groups had waited for. On 50 different worlds, people rose up against Concordat rule. They took control of communication, stations, supply depots, and small military bases. They did not destroy these places. They simply took them over and kept them running. On the Concordat homeworld, Vril and his group of like-minded citizens marched to the High Council building. Thousands joined them, demanding that the council listen to new ideas. They did not fight or break things. They simply stood there, asking to be heard. In Earth's solar system, Admiral Suji Park led the Ghost Fleet out from their hidden bases. 200 ships that the Concordat couldn't see on their sensors slipped through the blockade. They didn't attack the alien ships, they just flew past them, showing that the blockade had failed. The Concordat leaders were shocked. For 10 years, they had believed humans were safely contained. Now they saw the truth. Humans had spread throughout. The galaxy made allies and built a network that the Concordat couldn't control. Supreme Leader Vex of the Concordat called an emergency meeting. He was old now. His blue skin faded to pale gray. How is this possible? He demanded. How did they get past our blockade? Admiral Zex had no good answer. It seems some humans escaped before we set up the full blockade. They have been busy, Since then we must crush them now, said one council member. Use our full military power to destroy these rebels. No, said another voice. A younger council member named Krill stepped forward. I have studied the reports from across the galaxy. The humans and their allies are not destroying our bases or killing our people. They are simply ignoring our rules. This is not a violent rebellion. It is a statement. A statement, Vex asked. That the old ways no longer work, Krill said. That different species can work together without our control. That the galaxy is changing and we must change with it. The council argued for hours. Some wanted war. Others wanted to talk. In the end, Vex made his decision. I will speak with their leaders, he said, but from a position of strength. Prepare my command ship. On neutral ground, a space station orbiting Jupiter, Supreme Leader Vex met with Earth's representative. He had expected to meet Admiral Suji Park or Director Jisoo Yoon. Instead, he faced a younger man named Dongmin Choi. He was Earth's new ambassador to the galaxy. Your species has violated every restriction placed upon it, Vex stated. All six eyes narrowed in frustration. Dongmin nodded calmly. We have a saying on Earth. Life finds a way. You tried to contain something that cannot be contained. Not our ships, but our ideas. Your scattered people have disrupted the stability of a 1,000-year peace, Vex countered. Have we? Dongmin placed a data crystal on the table. This contains reports from 37 star systems where human innovations have improved life for all species. It also contains statements from 22 concordant member species who now support Earth's full integration into galactic society. Vex's skin changed color slightly, a sign of surprise in his species. What the concordant failed to understand, continued Dongmin, is that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or even our adaptability. It's our capacity to connect with others. You feared we would conquer. Instead, we collaborated. And if we refuse to lift the restrictions? Vex asked. Then we continue as we have, Dongmin said simply. But consider this. The rule created, to protect against us, don't mess with humans, has only made us stronger. Perhaps a new approach would work better for everyone. Vex was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I will take your words to the council. 2 weeks later, ships from across the galaxy gathered near Earth. They came from every species that had joined the human-led resistance. They came to witness history. The Concordate Council had voted. The old system of rules and restrictions would end. In its place would be a new organization, the Galactic Accord. It would be built on cooperation and mutual respect between all species. Earth would be a founding member. As Vex and Dongmin signed the new agreement, cheers erupted from the watching ships. 10 years of secret struggle had led to this moment. Humans were finally free to travel the stars openly. On Icarus, Minho Lee watched the ceremony on a large screen with hundreds of others, humans and aliens together. His granddaughter Jisoo, now 10 years old, sat on his lap. Did you fight in the resistance, Grandpa? She asked. Minho smiled. Not with weapons. I just flew my ship where they said I couldn't go. Sometimes that's enough to change things. On Earth, the aging Jisoo Yoon watched from her home by the sea. She was in her 80s now, her body weak but her mind still sharp. Her plan had worked better than she had ever hoped. Humans were not only free, they had helped free many other species as well. Was it worth it? Her assistant asked. All the years of secret work, the risks, the waiting. Look at the screen, Jisoo replied. Different species standing together as equals. Yes, it was worth it. 1 month after the signing, the first official human ships left Earth under the new Accord's flag. Leading them was the new Pathfinder, commanded by Captain Hae-Jun Kim, the son of Captain Tae-ho Kim who had faced the aliens in that first meeting long ago. As the ships prepared to depart, Hae-Jun addressed the crews. 10 years ago, the Concordate judged us by our wars and decided we were too dangerous to join the galaxy. They didn't understand that our greatest conflicts taught us our most important lessons. That diversity makes us stronger, that working together is better than fighting. and that the stars belong to those who reach out to others, not those who hide behind walls. The ships lifted off, heading for the stars. This time no blockade stood in their way. In the years that followed, human colonies spread across the galaxy. They built great cities, developed new technologies, and created art that blended styles from 100 different worlds. But more importantly, they built bridges between species that had been kept apart for centuries. The old Concordat rule, "Don't mess with humans," became a joke told in spaceports across the galaxy. Because in the end, the Concordat had messed with humans, and in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. On the 10th anniversary of the Galactic Accord, a statue was unveiled in the Great Meeting Hall on the new capital world. It showed a human hand and an alien hand clasped together. The plaque beneath it read, "The stars are not for one species alone, but for all who look up in wonder. Together, we go farther than any could go alone." Min-Ho Lee, now an old man, stood before the statue with his family. His children and grandchildren had grown up in a galaxy at peace, where different species worked together and learned from each other. "Was it worth the struggle, Dad?" asked his daughter Hana. Min-Ho looked at his granddaughter Jisoo, who was now studying to be a diplomat. He thought of all the friends he had made across the stars. He remembered the day he had flown his little ship through the blockade, scared but determined. "Yes," he said simply. "It was worth everything." The Concordat had feared humans because they didn't understand them. They thought humanity's adaptability and determination made them dangerous. They never realized that these same traits would create a better galaxy for everyone. Don't mess with humans. They had ignored that rule, and the universe was better because of it. The end.